Free agency does not fail any year. It is always a heck of a story, a heck of a frenzy. And this year was unique in its own storytelling, and as crazy as ever. My name is Rich Chisholm, and this is the Smash Mouth and Smoke Show. And I want to thank you all, as always, for watching the videos, taking the time out of your day, for liking the videos, and any special thanks to anybody who's a new member or joins this channel as well. To my guys, people who have been there from day one. I want to just let you guys know I appreciate you. Well, it has been about a week and a half, I think, last time we sat down and discussed anything. We were getting past the combine and entering into the free agency stage, and we're ready to talk about how the stories would unfold with free agency. I apologize for a little bit of length of time, but life is life, and those things happen. But here we are back again, and we're ready to roll and talk about free agency now. As everybody knows who watches this, this is a very Pittsburgh Steelers-centric show. I am a Steeler fan, and so that is where we will focus much of our conversation most of the time. But I gotta tell you, there's no way we can at least not bring up the Baltimore Ratbirds. That's what I call them. But the Baltimore Ravens and the Max Crosby mess. Wow. I don't know what you guys think of that, but man, I don't know. I mean, the guy finished the year on injured reserve. It was not a secret that he was hurt. I'm not trying to accuse Baltimore or anything. I'm not in that room. I'm not in that organization. I don't know. It's just, wow. Well, they didn't announce it. Obviously, teams were not allowed to announce it until yesterday at 4. But man, the reports came in that they made that deal with Crosby, sending 2 first-round picks to the Raiders. And the next thing you know, teams move off of that, and all the rest of the dominoes start falling in place. And then, boom, the bombshell drops, and the Ratbirds pull out of the deal after a couple of days of free agency, and all these other deals get lined up, and just really, wow, right? It's unprecedented. We've had guys pull out of deals before, but we've had teams pull out of deals before, but never at such a critical point of the new year, with so much money on the line, draft picks on the line, and in a fashion that affected the business of all the other teams and what they were doing, and affected the Raiders and what they thought they were moving forward with. And so now Crosby is still a Raider. The Ratbirds don't have to give up their first round picks. They went and they jumped out there and grabbed Trey Hendrickson, and and everything is what it is. I'm just curious if there will be further ramifications from this. Obviously, and I'm not just talking about in the way as far as the planning teams make. I just wonder, if there's going to be league looking into this, or NFLPA with comments about it, things of that nature. It's just going to be interesting to see if this grows any other legs on it, given how rare this is. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that the Ratbirds did anything wrong. Just in case any of you Ratbirds fans want to jump up here and, he's a Steeler fan, he's a hater. I am, but nonetheless, I'm not saying they did anything wrong, but wow, that's a mess. That was messy, and so it's going to be interesting to see what continues to grow from that situation. But at any rate, enough of the Ratbirds, because that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about the free agency moves of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and and as we continue through this free agency phase, Obviously, there will be continue to be some more key signings over the next few days. Um, and then that's when teams will begin to stack their draft boards and get ready for next month's NFL draft. But in the meantime, let's talk about what Pittsburgh did, and we might also start out with the big trade. That's what really launched the Steelers' foray into free agency this year, much like last year's trade when they acquired DK Metcalf did for them then. Um, Pittsburgh has needed a number two receiver forever. Ever since they shipped Deontay Johnson off, I believe it was to Carolina at the time, and left George Pickens to be the number one receiver in Pittsburgh. They have been unable to find a running mate. First, originally across from George Pickens himself, prior to him somewhat self-destructing in Pittsburgh. And then, we get to last year when George Pickens was still on the roster. They make the big deal with Seattle to acquire DK Metcalf. Everyone's going crazy like, oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing to see DK Metcalf and George Pickens line up across from each other. What are teams going to do? How are secondaries going to prepare for that? And then the Steelers traded George Pickens to Dallas. Put themselves right back into the problem that they had when they acquired DK Metcalf, which is, okay, so who's the number two receiver? They tried a hodgepodge of guys, tried to talk up Calvin Austin. And at the end of the day, there was no number two receiver. They tried some weird offense with a whole bunch of tight ends. And at the end of the day, struggled to score points. And so here we are. We are into this free agency period, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are sitting there with the same problem. And there's a lot of draft nicks. The mock drafts have been all over the board for Pittsburgh. They get a receiver in the first round, still could happen. They get a quarterback in the first round, still could happen, but I'm believing that that's less likely to occur right now. And so on and so forth. And so what do? They pull the trigger. They make the trade for Michael Pittman from the Indianapolis Colts, and they basically stole him. They did a swap of late round picks. I think they got like a 6-4-7 in the deal. So, it practically cost them nothing. Nothing like the DK Metcalf trade that cost them a second round draft pick. This cost them nothing. And so, I think it's a strong acquisition. Michael Pittman certainly is a upper echelon, talented wide receiver. I think he's going to be a great number two. I don't know what the offense is going to look like yet. I mean, obviously, we have some idea from Mike McCarthy's past as a head coach in Green Bay and then again in Dallas. We know the types of things that he likes to do. But at any rate, it's hard to argue with that move, man. DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman across from him, that should be a pretty dynamic pair of receivers. And the Steelers are going to continue to add to the receiver room. You can bet that, whether it be some additional free agents that they pick up in the coming days. And even if they do that, most certainly when the draft gets here, it would not surprise me if they take 1-2 receivers in the draft. So, this receiver room is coming together. I think it was a great start for that. They now have their bona fide number one and their bona fide number two receiver. So that is a first in many years that they've had locked down like this. And so hopefully that means good things for the offense. I think that was a great acquisition. I think that was an A-graded acquisition. I have no qualms with it. Moving on to the rest of free agency and what else the Steelers did. Let's talk about it. One of the things they did next, the first actual free agent, they grabbed Jamel Dean. Jamel Dean is a cornerback out of Tampa Bay. He may be not so well known to a lot of casual NFL fans, being that he played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and whatnot. But the guy's solid, man. I mean, he's, I'll stop short of calling him a superstar, but he had a very good season last year. And I'm just going to look up at some of this information on him. But he had 3 interceptions and 14 starts last year, which was his most productive season as a pro. He's a former third-round pick of Tampa Bay from back in the 2019 draft. Um, and this is going to be the running mate across from Joey Porter. And it's an interesting point to make because, and we'll get to this further down, but it's not the only defensive back signing that the Steelers made in free agency. They have really used free agency this year to rebuild that secondary, which is I'm not totally surprised. I knew that they would be adding pieces to the secondary. But man, I guess I'm a little surprised how aggressively they're attacking the secondary in free agency. We'll get to some of that in a minute. One of the other really strong signings that I like, good football player that they grabbed in free agency is running back Rico Dowdle. As we know, Kenneth Gainwell left and signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, actually. And so they left the Steelers without a running back. And they do have Jalen Warren, as we all know. So the question is, were they going to draft one? Again, they still may. I don't think so. With Caleb Johnson on board, I know they still haven't given up on that guy. And so, we'll see if he has a bigger role in the offense. But Rico Dowdle is a running back. I mean, that's a man's man running back. This guy runs hard. He will run through you. He runs angry. And he's actually an asset in the passing game. He's a little better in the passing game than people think. And so, again, he has ties with McCarthy from his days in Dallas. Rico last year played for Carolina, but previous to that, he had played with the Dallas Cowboys when McCarthy was there. So he's a familiar to McCarthy and a very talented player. And also, it was a very good contract. They did not overpay for the kid. He's 27 years old and is fresh off of back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. So this was a strong signing, in my opinion, and will continue one of the Steelers' strengths, which is their running game. So I think that's another great signing, and we move on down. Now, this is just a signing that happened today. These are not necessarily in order that they occurred, but something I do want to bring up. They today signed Jaquan Brisker. Now, outstanding signing, in my opinion. I've long thought that Jaquan Brisker would be a good fit in Pittsburgh. Now, of course, this was and I have had these thoughts when it was Tomlin's team and Tomlin's defense, but I'm excited to see Brisker come aboard. I just think that Brisker is a nice young safety. He has had some injury issues, so there is that. But when healthy, the guy is great. He's a second-round pick out of Penn State, and he played with the Chicago Bears. And I think he's had a really nice career. And one of the things about him is his versatility. Brisker can play in the box. He also can play deep. So he has, both skill sets to do that with. And it's going to be exciting to see how they deploy him in the defense. I think that's another really good signing. One of the signings that surprised me, it was the Steelers keeping one of their own, and that is cornerback Asante Samuel. I did not think they would keep him. I did hope they would keep him, but I did not think they would keep him. But they did. It's just on a one-year prove-it deal, $4 million. You got to remember when Asante came on board last year, he was recovering from a major injury. I think it was a neck injury, and he had my dog wants to go outside. Go, get mom. He At any rate, sorry for that distraction. At any rate, he was recovering from a neck injury. He did not get to spend much time getting into, like in training camp type stuff. He when he came on board, it was about halfway through the season. He was a practice squad guy for a while, and still, when he finally got called up to the main roster and was able to get in games, he did not embarrass himself. I wouldn't call him, he wasn't like fantastic or anything, but he was certainly capable. And given what he had gone through to work his way back to the field, I thought it was admirable. Um, I know that prior to that injury, he was a cornerback with elite traits when he was with the Los Angeles Chargers. So I'm excited to see how Asante Samuel can grow into a role into this defense going into an offseason where he'll have the full benefit of, the offseason program, all of training camp and things like that as they put this new defense into place that Patrick Graham is going to deploy. And I'm really excited about it because I always liked Asante Samuel as a player, and I cannot believe the Steelers kept him. I'm happy they did. And so, we'll see how that goes. Another nice piece to the secondary, and we'll see how that goes. I would imagine that he'll play some slot at times, but also, relieve one of the end guys, Porter or Dean. You know what I'm saying? One of the head scratching moves to me that they did though was sign Cameron Johnston, the punter. Um, a little confusing to me. I don't know. I don't. I guess I don't understand. We had Corliss Waitman, and so last year actually, uh, Corliss Waitman and Cameron Johnston had a punting competition in camp, and Cameron lost. Now, a few years ago, the Steelers had signed Cameron in free agency to, I think it was like a 3 or 4 year deal or something like that. It was a long term deal for a punter. Um, but then he had a catastrophic leg injury in training camp, never played a regular season game. And then the Steelers had to scramble for a punter. Ended up with Waitman, who's done a fantastic job since he's been here. And so I don't know. This is just seems like a kind of a weird signing to me. I wonder. I mean, I don't know if he's just a camp leg, but he's not signed like one. It's just a little confusing. I'm not sure what the purpose was with that one, but hey, welcome back, Cameron Johnson. Right. Another defensive backfield signing that I really like is Darnell Savage. What's to like about Darnell? Again, not necessarily a star player anymore. He's an older guy. He's had a really, I think, a really good career. He was a first round pick by the Green Bay Packers in the 2019 draft. So he's a veteran guy. He bounced around on 3 different teams or so last year. But I think he's a great reserve guy and a guy that can kind of just be moved around. He has position flexibility, if you will. That's one of the things I noticed they're going after with these defensive backs. They're getting guys that can interchangeably play deep and in the box, and not typically how many teams deploy. This safety is always an in the box safety, and that safety is always a deep safety. They got these interchangeable guys that can move around and keep defenses guessing as to who's going to be playing what role, I suppose. He's mostly a depth piece, possibly special teams player, I suspect, but certainly has had a nice career for when he was with what was it? Who drafted him? I forget who drafted him, but at any rate, early in his career, um, he definitely had some nice run, and it just seemed like after getting going into last season for whatever reasons, he was having problems sticking with the team, sticking with teams. Sometimes it's a thing where guys' skill sets are starting to go down. You know what I'm saying? So it could be something like that. We'll find out. But I like him as a depth piece, and we'll see how he will fit into the greater puzzle of things, right? And so when you look at this free agency class in Pittsburgh, um, it's a lot of defense. They made a splash on offense with a trade to get their number 2 receiver. They did a really nice running back signing in Dowdle, and then they focused on mostly the defensive secondary. And so this should provide some hints as to where things could go in the draft, right? Obviously, they will continue to add to the receiver room. Um, um, I believe they're going to add to the offensive line. Siamalu has left Pittsburgh. Um, and so now they have an opening at guard. They could put Spencer Anderson there, but they may draft a guy high. What if they take a guard in the first round? It's not, they could do something like that. The receiver class is deep. Um, and so I do believe I would lean probable offense, at least in the first round. Um, I don't think it's going to be the quarterback anymore. I was really going for Ty Simpson, as most of you guys know. But I have less faith that they're going to go for Ty Simpson or any quarterback in this draft. I'm not so sure. They seem uncomfortably comfortable with going into the season with Rodgers, Will Howard, and Mason Rudolph. So we'll see if that's what they do. If they do take a quarterback in this draft, I don't believe it'll be in the first or second round. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. At any rate, though, that sizes up as we are having this conversation the Pittsburgh Steelers free agency class up to this point. Um, all in all, I think I would give that like a B plus. It's hard to argue with any of the people that they signed, and the positions that they play. And you look at what they've needed on this football team. They certainly added some nice pieces to the secondary and have strengthened that, and we'll see how that goes. We already have a very nice front seven. There's been a lot of rumors going around about a trade of Patrick Queen. I'm not so sure that's going to occur, but that's what they're talking about. I know the Dallas Cowboys were supposed to be in on it, in trying to pry Patrick Queen from Pittsburgh. I don't know how much I believe that, though. At any rate, though, that is where we are in free agency. It's been a wild ride so far, as free agency always is. I gotta love the mess that the Ratbirds caused. It's just crazy. And we'll see where they go. What you guys think about free agency so far? What do you think about what happened with the Ratbirds and Max Crosby? And anybody that's still a fan, how do you like? What are your thoughts on their free agency class so far? Just feel like, just please feel free to let me know in the comments. And as always, and I hope to hear from you guys. Next up, I will be drop another video on Sunday after another couple of days of free agency, just to see if anything's changed. And we'll start, getting ready for some of the draft speculation. I'm sure mock drafts are going to start popping out everywhere now that the free agency is over, and these draft nicks try to figure out who these teams are going to try to guess who these teams are going to pick and whatnot. Outside of that, your boy will be in Pittsburgh at the draft. We have everything booked and ready to go. So definitely looking forward to that. Well, that's it. I've taken an unusually long chunk of your time this evening with 23 minutes, going on 24 minutes here now. So I did want to thank you all again for taking your time to watch the video. I'll be looking forward to catching up with you again on the next moves that the Steelers make. And hey, man, go Steelers, right? Let's go. Catch up with you guys later.